I'm Katie Lance from High Tide Throwdown, and you're watching the Game Code.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with the one, the only, Mr. Joe Allen. Joe, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. You are the owner of Games People Play.
So they say.
That's a place that you can visit on Barrington, I believe.
Yes, and play games.
Location. Yes, excellent, excellent. Now, besides that, you're actually quite involved as a promoter in not-for-profits.
Yes.
Around here, but you're also the kind of the go-to place for Magic the Gathering here in Halifax.
We are.
Or one of the couple of places. Yes, one of the major places. How did you manage to go from a major kind of promoter and marketer for not-for-profits into deciding that you wanted to operate a game store?
Well, a long time ago, I worked for a lot of charities. For example, I worked for the Canadian Red Cross for a while, and I worked for the Centre for Entrepreneurship. And I came to the realization that I didn't have a lot of control when I worked for a lot of organizations, a lot of corporate ones.
That happens.
It does. So the idea that me and Greg and a few others had was, why don't we just use your marketing contacts and develop a business plan and marketing plan and see if we can actually open a new store. And I think it was like maybe 6 months to like 18 months later, after we developed it and looked for a place for 6 months, we actually came up to the conclusion that we found the perfect spot on Barrington Street, and we opened the store there.
You can't go wrong with Barrington Street.
No, it's quite the focal point of the city. We have about, I think it's like 5,000 cars that pass us every day. And then there's about 12 buses that pass us every hour. So the average bus contains about 150 to 200 people.
So you got lots of traffic
walking by.
A lot of foot
traffic, yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now tell us a little bit about the store itself. I mean, the title of it is pretty revealing.
It's pretty simplistic.
But it might not be the type of games necessarily that people could associate with. So what exactly does the store have going on?
The store in its first inception was actually designed to promote external gameplay, get people out of their homes, get people to develop more of a social contacts, get them to actually play more with friends outside of their regular habitat, as it were. So we designed the store to be a place where people can come and play for free. So we have a giant library of games out back, board games. We have trading card games people can play. And we have a great staff that can actually train people on how to play the board games, how to play the what trading card games, what would suit them the best. And that was the main idea around it. It is only a year and a half old, so we still have quite a bit of growth to go through. And we are going to be expanding probably within the next year and a half. We want to start developing more brand awareness, and we want to bring in more brands that people have been asking for us lately. So that's probably what we're going to be working on in the next year.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Now we interviewed you last year, just moving into, I'm assuming, the beginning part of this whole
I think that was Halcon Day, actually, this board game day.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was a much smaller, perhaps more attractive version of myself, but that did the interview. But how has the store come in that last year, year and a half or so?
Oh, it's been fantastic. The community growth, or even the community support and growth that we've received has been tremendous. We've grown beyond projections within the first year.
Awesome.
And it's still continually growing, and we're still expanding our market locally, and we're still even going on to the e-commerce portion of it right now.
Oh, okay.
And going online and developing a presence online as well.
Oh, excellent.
So you're going to see us becoming not just a local store, but being able to offer more locally because we're going to be offering more online services now. So
great, nice for people that are maybe in the province but not specifically in Halifax?
Yeah, I mean, like for example, there are places in Cape Breton, but it's only one store, so it's hard to get cards or specifically from in the market you're looking for, or down in like the Digby area or the Yarmouth area where there's only a few stores you can choose from. So, by being able to offer all the customers in even HRM and Nova Scotia, you're developing a clientele that's pretty secure for you. So
fantastic.
Yeah, it's a pretty good opportunity.
So let's talk about Magic the Gathering. It's been around a while.
I love it.
It's been around. It's probably, if somebody were to talk about, even if you don't know about trading card games,
slap one of those people down.
Yeah, exactly. But they probably still know about, at least in passing, Magic in some way, shape, or form. How did you manage to get into Magic the Gathering?
It was actually from an old store back in the day in Dartmouth. It was owned by another gentleman named Richard. It was on Portland Street called Third Eye Blind. And that's where I met a lot of my oldest friends I still have today that I still see down at the store. And it unfortunately closed the stores quite a few years ago, and we were kind of sad. And that's originally how I got into Magic, was that store, and that's how the inception kind of grew with this store as well.
Right.
But even back then, it was like I was trying to actually get into something that was kind of more fun and more socially acceptable. And I used to play a lot of video games, godly amount of video games, even like StarCraft back in the day. StarCraft 1 was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Not a bad game.
No, not a bad
Some
game at all.
might say that I've spent some time with that game.
Love it.
A little bit.
Love it. So yeah, I kind of wanted to learn a new skill, and I wanted to learn more of a fun way to spend my time. And I was introduced to Magic by a few friends of mine, and it just kind of snowballed from there, and ended up having a collection. I think it was over 100,000 cards. So yeah, love it. Love a collection. So.
That's a large collection.
Yeah.
Personally, now are they all like? Are we talking 100,000 unique? Or are we talking, because I mean, Magic's been around long enough that I wouldn't even be shocked at that point.
No, it's a giant collection. So I had about 10 or 12 binders of rares, and those are like people consider those the money cards. And then there are commons, uncommons within the set itself, and those are pretty much like your meat and potatoes. Those are kind of thicken up the set, as it were. And I had boxes and boxes of those, and people actually kept making fun of me for it, because they were like, "Did you just open a store to just get your collection out of your garage into the store?" I was just like, "Well, it didn't
convenient,
hurt."
no.
Yeah. I was kind of an entertaining point at that, because I was like, we had actually brought the cards in from the store one day, and it was like, how do we move all these? And we were like, do we just hire movers? Because they were so heavy. Like, we had 5,000 count boxes, and there were tons. There was like at least 20 of them, and then we had the binders, and it was just like, this is just way too much. Yeah, and then getting the actual like structure in the store to support that many cards.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We broke a few shelves.
I would say
it was pretty hilarious.
That wouldn't be shocking if that were to happen.
Back in the day, it was from an old store. It was a lot of fun back in the.
Excellent.
A lot has changed with the game since then.
Excellent. Now, I personally, as we were discussing before this interview, I've always been a card collector, so I own a few. Definitely not 100,000.
No.
I mean, we're not even talking like more than maybe 100. But
it's a good start.
But I haven't played, because I'm not much of a trading card player. I just like to collect for art, like we were talking about before as well. Now, where can I learn? I already half know the answer to this, because I almost started playing Magic. Magic has like, I'll half answer this already, I guess, but I'm sure you'll have other ideas. Is that, if I'm not mistaken, Magic actually has a YouTube channel that has an entire series that kind of will outlay the basics. But where else, other than that, could somebody get experience with the game to start?
So with Magic, there is a YouTube channel. So that it's a great channel where people broadcast Pro Tours that are worldwide, and it's a great, phenomenal resource that people draw on now. There's also local stores are now broadcasting their higher end competitive events on Twitch, so that's actually drawing in quite the crowd. But if you're like somebody new who's trying to get into the game and trying to figure out how do I start, any local store pretty much has the resources for you to draw on, including, for example, there are toolkits called like deck builders toolkits, where you can actually go out and purchase, and they have land and boosters for the people who want to start crack and still want to have that addiction.
Of course.
And you can build a deck and draw on those resources. You can also purchase like intro decks and event decks. The great thing about Magic is that it's not just black and white. You can pick which way you want to get into the game and choose the path that you want to follow. It's a great resource. It's kind of one of those things with Magic, is that there's not just one single stream. There's, do you want to be controlling? Do you want to just like beat people's faces in the creatures?
Like do you want decks and stuff like that? Yeah.
Do you want to you want to play decks that are like tribal, like zombies or beasts or cats?
Theme
or
decks and
theme
stuff.
decks, absolutely. So there's a lot of resources out there. We have open Magic Learn Days on Wednesdays. There's also a type of gameplay called EDH League, which is a 100 singleton card deck. So yeah, you have a deck about that thick on the table. It's a single card of everything in your deck, and you have a general, and your general represents your deck. Okay. So your deck can only be those colors of the general, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool.
That's kind of a neat idea.
It's a pretty cool idea. Yeah. It's a lot of fun to build. It takes a little bit of time, but you can do it. But those are in conjunction with our open game days on Wednesdays, where people can come in and learn how to play Magic. And there's usually on any given day 10 or 12 people in there playing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
it's a really good resource.
Now, along those lines, other than the usual weekly stuff, is there any major Magic events that are coming up here in the area?
There's a few.
Okay.
There's a few. Yesterday, sorry, was the Monster Comics Lounge. They just had one. Their legacy event. They had about 28 players. That was a great turnout. We have one next weekend for June 14th. That's the Wizard Tower Games People Play event for the first place of the trip to Cuba. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It ain't bad.
That's not bad. Play some cards, go to Cuba.
Yeah. And then fairly shortly after that is, I do believe we're doing a Frag for Charity event.
Oh, you see. Doing a little Frag for Charity event.
I think it's going to be a fairly huge event we're going to be putting on. So.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I might be there to check it out.
Maybe we can eat some Magic.
Wait. I think if we look close enough, I have the Frag. The old. This is almost vintage at this point. I feel. I mean, this was like the first Frag event I think that I was ever at that I received this shirt. This is convenient timing.
Indeed.
It's convenient timing, but that's awesome. Is there any others that are?
There's another.
I imagine the summer has to be relatively busy.
It's quite busy actually. Well, it all depends. It's a fluctuating player base, mostly because actually you'll see a lot of events in September. That's the biggest time. September, October, November, students are coming back, university, and it's a lot of planning what a lot of people do in the summertime. That's the big point. And there is another big event coming up in November that people should look at.
Maybe just a little bit.
A little bit. Maybe November 29th around there. Maybe another.
Brace yourselves.
Yes, another big event.
It's going to happen.
Yes,
it's going to happen. Fantastic. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all we got for now for that stuff. But coming up after, we've got some really fun kind of little activity stuff we're going to do. One in particular, we're going to be taking a look and seeing just how good you are at naming consoles based on their power buttons. All right, now this would be like me. I feel like this is going to be like if you were to lay a bunch of Magic cards in front of me and then like give me the top corner of like the art and be like, all right, start naming cards. But that's going to be good.
I got that.
You got that down.
I got that down. Yeah.
You got that down. So this will be fun, guys. Stick around. We'll be right back.